Hi, this is Tets again, and I have a review of Knuckles the Echidna with his four-wheel bike thing from Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing. I'm sure that all of these vehicles have some cute little name, but I can never remember what quite they are right now. Yet again, this is made by Jazzwares, who make the normal Sonic the Hedgehog action figures. And once again, they have created a cute little vehicle mode for the 3.75-inch figures. Knuckles actually sits fairly well. He's got a little gap right here, mostly due to his tail, and also kind of the same flaw that Shadow has, I guess, in that his groin isn't quite wide enough for the bike. But aside from that, I think he actually probably fits fairly well. Definitely a better fit than Shadow, I think. It is the normal 3.75-inch Knuckles the Echidna that you can get in a single pack, but this one once again has had remolded hands, so he can actually hold his bikes, or quad bike, that's what we call his quad bike's handlebars, and the handlebars do sort of twist a little bit. Come up. Nah. Quite like the look of this Knuckles. He's one of the smaller ones that can actually stand up by himself. Hopefully. Let's get that leg around, leg around. Again, the articulation's pretty good on this guy for such a small figure, although it can be a bit awkward to kind of get all the pieces around the right way, because you might end up with something in the wrong spot. So try and... looks like he's got rickets. There we go. Come on, you going to stand for us? Give us a stand. Almost looks like his thighs are in different spots. Anyway, it's not really designed for him to stand by himself. He's supposed to spend all his time on his bike. Yeah, come on. Ta-da! Of course, being Knuckles, he lacks the big heavy head that Shadow and Sonic suffer from. So that kind of aids him in his way. I quite like the look. I've always been a fan of Knuckles ever since he first showed up, and I think they've done a good job with this guy. If we get the bike out of the way, have a look at Knuckles. Get some light on him. You can see he's got his cute little white bit, and his eyes are separate. And as you see, he's got pupils now. It appears I'm having purple issues, so it's not just my normal camera. His eyes are actually the proper purple that they should be, although they come up almost like a violet blue there. I know, it's just got a cute little, and that kind of irritated look to him. And of course he has his knuckles, which he can shake his fist. I'll get you, somebody, for stealing my Chaos Emeralds and making my island fall into the sea and possibly risking the lives of all those that live upon it. Again, he's got ankle twists, Lego shoes, which I have always enjoyed. Like his Lego shoes, they're nice and nerdy. Waist spinning, Knuckles' tail, and his dreads, of course. They did rather well, because you'd think his tail sticking out like that would get in the way of the bike, but they have slapped a hole in here. Let's get some light. There we go. We do have a hole there for him. And no, that is not so he can go to the toilet. Well, you could make it a Le Mans bike. The bike itself is pretty good. Nice and very weighty. It's got nice big wheels on the back, which have treads, and it's kind of the plasticky, rubbery type plastic, I guess, that they had with the Shadow bike as well. So it sticks well on the floor, and when you push it, you know, with the weight it feels pretty good and rolls very smoothly. It's a very accurate little model of the bike in the game as well, complete with Mad Max-like wheel protection. Paint, not much to go on, bit of silver, more silver, a little bit of yellow, kind of matches his shoes, I guess. And there's just a touch of green on the shock absorbers. I think the front kind of looks fairly Knuckles-esque, and he rides it pretty well. Actually, really quite like this bike mode. I think it's probably one of the definitely better than Shadow's chopper. Put the tail in, put Knuckles on, there you go. It actually looks quite successfully like he's running his feet. Sit close enough to the, whatever these bits are, steps I guess I'll call them. On both sides even, I think it works well. They perhaps maybe should have done a bit of a dip for Shadow's bike, I think, looking at it here. Although having said this, the hole for his tail isn't as long as his tail, so he still does float above it. And it's got the single exhaust there that features on the game as well when you do your boosting. Any real complaints? Not really. I think it just suffers from being Knuckles the Echidna, in that with a hard plastic head and dreadlocks, come off again, his arms and head movement are very limited as to what they can do. So to like move his arm up, you got to angle it between his dreads, pop it down, you try and move his head around, and you got to shove it in here, and then it makes it very hard to do a bit of this. Oh, and then he can only move from the elbow like a little chicken man. I do quite like this. I do have a superposer of Knuckles, and it's very nice. Although it's even harder with the superposer to move his head around because these are actually harder plastic. It's slightly pliable on these ones, but the superposer is very solid. So there we go. So I think overall, I'd have to say this is probably one of the preferred Sonic All-Star Racing toys in my opinion. As humble as it may be that I have, I think I haven't made many of them. Ooh, look at that. Yeah, how's that for a pose? I haven't made that many of them in this size class. They did do some smaller kind of pullbacky ones and things, but I think the smaller ones you couldn't get the character off. So I think overall they've done a pretty good job on these guys, and considering how the bulk of the production would have been spent on the vehicle itself as opposed to the figure, they just went the cheap option and adapted the figure slightly. Not even that much really, I don't think. And so it could fit on the bike. I think they've done a pretty good job really, especially with Knuckles. Knuckles definitely my favourite on this one. Out of 3. Not too sure that really counts for anything though. Still, that is Knuckles the Echidna with his quad bike of Mad Maxi destruction. It's tough, it's heavy, which I really like because when you're playing the game, when he lands it does make a very solid thunk. And he hoons. It rolls very nicely, which is important in a wheeled vehicular mode car thingamajiggy. So yeah, if you're a fan of your Knuckles, and you're a fan of Sonic racing games, and you happen to find this, I think you could do a lot worse than picking it up. Especially if it's cheap. It's actually quite nice. I just noticed on the back here you've got Knuckles' shoe prints there. So there you go. If you find it, get it. It's good. Tits out.